Mattia Fosci has been kicked out of Congress, almost died in a jungle, and somehow ended up trying to save the most broken industry on earth, ad tech. On the ADOTAT Show, the lawyer activist turned CEO joins me to explain why he thinks half the industry's metrics are meaningless, why attention isn't the answer, and how he's building a company that runs on ethics instead of excuses. This is the story of the rebel who thinks honesty might just be the last real disruption left.
Multi-billion-dollar complex federal court litigation. We do it day in, day out. And we've built a team dedicated to doing nothing but keeping you safe in the most dangerous litigation in the world. We're comfortable where everybody else is horribly uncomfortable.
And with the litigation piece, we bring the compliance piece, right? That's what I'm adding. That's what my entire team is adding. We've built TCPA World only for you folks to help you folks out.
And now, Pesach Lattin, the rabbi of ROAS, the guy who makes ad tech execs squirm and jargon cry for mercy. Host of the ADOTAT Show, he turns industry spin into confessions and chaos into clarity, one brutally honest episode at a time.
I'm Pesach Lattin. Today we're talking with Mattia Fosci, lawyer, activist, disruptor, and now CEO of Anonymised. First question, and don't give me a LinkedIn version, how are you doing?
Hi Pesach, great to be here. I'm doing well considering it's 7 p.m. of a Friday and I've been working throughout August. I'm doing okay.
So I read your background. Among other things, you've been kicked out of Congress for mouthing off. You were almost killed in the jungle, and then you somehow went to Occupy London to an ad tech boardroom. How did you do all that?
I guess an interesting career. I guess when you know the law and you have a passion for justice and social issues, you just follow whatever you feel is the most interesting career path where you can make an impact. And so that was for me, obviously entering ad tech. It was all about data and empowering individuals to control the data. I just wanted to prove that it was possible to have really effective advertising without necessarily sharing billions or trillions of data points with anyone who wants them.
If last touch attribution worked, your waiter would take full credit for your meal. We make sure the chef gets credit too. Incremental.
So, as we speak, approximately 60% of all impressions have no IDs, and Apple and Google keep tightening the screws. So you claim to have solved the blue ocean of ignored impressions with device-side measurement and aggregate targeting. So when you say we don't need IDs to measure ads, are you saying we cracked the code?
I mean, I think we have an approach that is different and avoid some of the massive inefficiency that are in the market when you actually use IDs, right? So there are two internets. There's a logged in internet and there's a non-logged in internet. And unless you're a guy who pretends that an IP address is an ID, in which case I've got news for you, and then you got to find a solution for the fact that actually there are so many parts of the internet where there are no IDs, right? So how do we solve that? Our approach is that actually you can do a lot of that identity resolution, data collection, and data processing on the device. And so you do that matching and the, placing the user within an audience, but also measuring out effectiveness. You do that within the device in real time instead of having to send an ID and syncing between the device and the database of half a dozen companies. Each of them has different standards and different IDs. It's extremely inefficient. You got to keep all these databases updated all the time in order to have a sync. It feels very 2010. I think there's a smarter way of doing that.
So why haven't the big boys fixed this? And this is a multiple choice a multiple choice question. Option A, they're too lazy. Option B, they're too rich to care. C, they're all in can. Pretending rosé counts as a strategy.
And it's a bit of all of that. I think the first thing is that we're not saying that people should stop using IDs. That's never been our position. We're saying where they work, use them. Where they don't work, use a different strategy. And they don't work a lot of the time. But when you talk about like why have the big boys, why didn't fix it? Like who are who are the big boys? Is it big tech or is it the big independent ad tech companies? Because if it's big tech, well, they obviously have an interest to not fix it because they are sitting on billions of logged in users. So the promise to the industry is we know these people because they know them, right? We know these people with a persistent identifier. We know what they like. We can find them all the time because they log in every day. We can measure them because they buy with their email address. it works for them. But for everyone else, it really doesn't work at scale because that syncing process that we just talked about doesn't always work. And so we are playing with the rules that really were kind of set by the really big guys, right, by big tech, and work well for them and not for everyone else. So we could come with there are different approaches. There are better approaches, in my opinion. It's just very difficult to get together and get behind them. I mean, it's happening. It's just happening slower than I would like.
So you've once said the whole ID obsession is a massive lie. What exactly is the lie?
I don't remember that quote, but I might have said that. I say a lot of stuff that I regret afterwards. I think one of the lies is just this promise that we can enable or empower a brand to reach that specific individual, that we know their preferences, and then we can measure scientifically whether or not that individual actually has bought the product, right? And we can do that at scale. I think that's a lie. And we all know it. Like there's a lot of ifs and buts and caveats, etc. But it's just like, so we're trying to sell a story, and we're still selling a story that is less and less efficient, less and less scalable. And we stuck with it.
Right.
So when it works, great. But when it doesn't work, we need a different story. We need a different technical approach.
So let's move on and talk a little bit about the ad supply chain and why we tolerate a system where marketers' dollar is basically mugged in the alley by 15 middlemen. So according to estimates, as much as 50% of the ad spend is eaten by intermediaries, by brokers. SPO promised clarity and delivered a lot of PowerPoints, and many believe the chain adds busy work value than actual performance. So is anyone providing value? That's my question to you.
I'm surprised it's just 50%.
I read somewhere else it was 60 too. Someone said 60% of the budget goes before it even hits the publisher. And then the publisher still has to pay out for all their optimization stuff they may have on their page.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of middlemen. Is anyone providing value? Look, I think actually everyone, or most, except for resellers or just, arbitrage traffic, they really provide no value. But most of other players are providing value, but providing value to what end? Because I think the issue here is, what are we measuring, right? So if you're a DSP managing a budget and optimizing towards a CTR goal, well, you're providing value towards that goal, right? You are helping with your intelligence. Is that a meaningful goal for the advertiser? Counting clicks or counting lens? If that optimization means that you're spending money on bot invested MFAs and stuff like that, right? And so on. Like there's just every actor provides value towards a goal, but if the goal that was set by the advertiser, very often with the whisperer of some tech company or some agency, if that goal is wrong, then the value that we are all collectively providing is zero or negative.
So was there a moment where you saw the sausage being made and you just wanted to light the whole thing on fire?
Yeah, most of the time. I mean, when you look at bid request and they come up with like 50 deal IDs and 6-7 IDs, and no one knows why the impression is bought. Like no one can explain, not even a DSP can explain what signal was determining a successful bid. You go, it's just like, what are we doing here? Then the game becomes quantity over quality, right? Just stuff as many bid requests as possible with as much stuff as possible and cross your fingers. Statistically, you're going to make money. Scale over quality means that you make more money putting more stuff that is bad quality than if you put in less stuff of good quality.
Right, I think my toaster has a deal ID of like a 50-year-old millionaire. If tomorrow we got rid of all this and forced everyone to buy direct publisher inventory, do you think the industry would collapse, or would you just discover half of these vendors were doing nothing?
Would the industry collapse? I think certainly a good chunk of the internet will collapse, but probably the part of the internet that should collapse. So I'm thinking about those quote-unquote publishers that get budget because they optimize towards goals. No real traffic, no real quality content, siphoning off impressions from legit publishers. Those guys will go bust. So that's probably a good thing. In terms of vendors going bust, I think this industry is super resilient. People are smart. They would adapt. They would pivot. There's a lot of tech heads, but yeah, it would be difficult. I think the issue is it's a very hypothetical question because it's not going to happen from a day to the next, right? The direct doesn't scale. These are more scalable, but still very fiddly. The industry was not created and tech was not created for PMPs. I think that it's a kind of a slow death rather than a kind of flip the coin and you're gone. It's taken a while, so that's good because the industry has more time to adapt.
So why do you think media buyers are still buying junk? Are they just afraid to make it harder for themselves?
All right, okay. So a couple of things here. Junk is everywhere. When you buy social, you buy junk. Are you kidding me? I mean, the user-generated content on X and Facebook, etc. I mean, that's the biggest junk that you can find. I mean, compared to that, the internet, the open web is, is a church. It's a good place. So there's junk everywhere. The question is, why do you buy as a media buyer? Why do you buy junk? Within a campaign, even if you have the brand safety and your agency is promising you that you only advertising in the New York Times. And the answer is averages. Programmatic, open web programmatic is essentially a performance channel. Its goal, particularly for brands that have omni-channel campaigns, its goal is to very often increase reach, but really lower CPM and make other media KPIs look better. Not sales KPIs, media KPIs, right? So what you do is you run a campaign. It's probably on 10,000 sites. You make sure that the first 20 to 50 are legit. You print out a report and you show the good domains to the client. The bottom 10,000 is filth, or most of it is. Individually, they don't really serve a lot of impressions. Collectively, they do. But their role is to make the averages look better. Your CPM goes down, your CTR goes up, your cost per land goes down. And so everything looks great, right? So you hide everything in the averages. You have the best of both worlds. You have the domains that look great because you only see the first 50. And then you have the averages with a CPM that you will not buy at a discount Walmart. It's just, fantastic.
So moving on, the interview, I guess, nowadays has to talk about AI. Everyone's swallowing it like it's Ozempic for marketing efficiency. But most of what I see is like reheated machine learning with a sexier label. So my question for you is, when you said once AI supervises machine learning, what do you mean? Is that HAL 9000 yelling at interns?
So when you think of, obviously AI is one of those words that everyone hates because everything is AI, right? So people now talk about AI, but what we mean is generative AI or LLMs, etc. Right? But AI has been around for a long time. We are an AI company. We use all sorts of machine learning models. Now we've implemented LLM models as well. But AI is everything. The new AI, the AI that everyone's excited about, I don't think there's yet anyone's could have built a really killer application. I think the first one would probably be a kind of the next level DCO or dynamic creator optimization. That's probably coming. We found a couple of use cases which are really exciting. But when I said that we use AI to train ML, I think about it this way, right? So AI LLM in the fast world of real-time bidding is like joining a bike race with a wheelchair. It's just not adequate. It's too slow. It's also too creative. When you need consistency and structured output, an LLM is not your friend. It's creative and will interpret things differently a lot of the time, right? So what we've done instead of using an LLM to make decisions is we use an LLM to process a lot of data, to spit out or to optimize smaller models that are better at making decisions faster. And then we feed back the data into the LLM, right? So by doing it this way, instead of doing it the old-fashioned way, of course, there's always a human checking, but using an LLM allows you to personalize. So you can create multiple smaller, faster model and adapt them to a brand goal, to a set of publishers, to a channel, right? You can do it faster. You can optimize faster. You can have multiple models. You compare how they work. Does it make sense?
Can you name a specific campaign where it actually moved the needle like that?
So we use this. So we use AI in several ways, right? So I can't name brands or anything, but what I can tell you is there's one application is custom bidding algorithms. So having an algorithm sitting, in our case, on the supply side, that algorithm essentially decides what is the most valuable traffic for a specific campaign. That's trained by an LLM. That's digesting client data, publisher data, everything, right? And then we're feeding back the measurement. So now that algorithm it would exist, but it would be a little less smart if it was just done the traditional way. Other ways, I think this is more interesting perhaps, of where AI has moved the needle on a specific campaign is Sometimes, most of the times, clients come to us and they have a brief, and the brief has an audience, and they think the best audience for this campaign is, I don't know, men aged 30 to 39, interested in health and fitness, whatever it is, right? I say, great. And then we often propose them to give us the full brief, and then we feed that brief to an AI that has been trained knowing our data and our historical performance. And then we ask the AI, what is the best audience for this campaign? So it comes up with a very detailed description of an audience that is based on our data. And then we create 2 line items and we compare how they perform. One has the audience that the planner decided was the best audience, and one is the audience that the AI decided is the best audience based on historical data. And, I think so far AI is winning 2 out of 3 races.
Why do you think the industry just obsesses over AI-generated cats with sunglasses instead of actually solving the inefficiencies?
I once read a quote. It was very, very funny. It was saying, if you could speak to a word of the 1960s to a person of the 1960s and tell them something exciting about the future, what would you tell them? And the example was, I've got access to all of the world information instantly and for free. And I use this power to look at cat videos. That's the description of where we are today, right? It's, we've got so much power. It's almost too much. You don't know what to do with it. It's like everything moves so fast that you hang on to what you know.
So I want to talk briefly a little bit about attention, because everyone's talking about it. Media agencies are testing it, publishers are desperate to sell it, and advertisers are a little bit skeptical. How do you personally define attention? Is it the eyes, the brain, the credit card, or just not skipping the ad?
Well, look, attention is a necessary but insufficient condition of advertising. If there's no attention, there's obviously zero impact. But attention by itself is not an outcome. I mean, attention is me being forced to watch a bloody YouTube video because the skip button is 45 seconds away. Gotta fucking watch it, but I hate it. That's not good attention, right? But obviously without attention, there's no impression in the first place. So I think it goes back to what are we measuring here? If we measure the wrong things, we optimize towards the wrong results. Attention is a good proxy, but it's still a proxy. So the ultimate goal should be you measure sales impact. But everyone's scared of that because no one really knows. Marketing is an imperfect science. There are so many outside variables. But with the smarts and the money that this industry has, we can find better ways of measuring incremental sales or other things. Instead, we pick KPIs that we feel we can control better, or they're just easier to measure, even though they might be completely wrong for the client. And
so you've been a rebel.
I'm afraid is one of those.
Sorry. You've been a rebel, a lawyer, an activist, an entrepreneur. Now you're CEO in the messiest industry on earth. How do you lead without becoming the corporate zombie you despise?
I think the good thing about all of the things you mentioned is that it's all about being a disruptor. When you are a startup, I mean, you can shape a company from zero. You can, first of all, it's as far as possible from a corporate monster. You don't die by meeting. People are efficient. You know everyone by name. It's completely different atmosphere. And you can choose the people you work with, right? So if you're a decent person and you like good relationships, you surround yourself with people who are culturally aligned with that. And so I don't see a risk of becoming a corporate zombie. I think, we'll never grow to the point where, we have thousands of employees, etc. AI is preventing that anyways. So it'll still be a large family. And it feels like it's a kind of socioeconomic experiment run with invested money, which then becomes a business. But everyone's just excited all the time. So, it's easy.
So what's your leadership style like? Is it motivational TED Talk, boot camp, drill instructor, or just bribing people with cold brew coffee?
I guess I'm more of a kind of TED Talk guy. I like to inspire. I like everyone to be on board. I like everyone to be very clear about what we're doing, why we're doing it, where we're going. Clarity is super important. So you got inspiring TED Talks and you got boring but detailed TED Talks. I guess I'm somewhere in between the two, but that's my goal. My goal is to provide vision, clarity, and certainty, and a bit of inspiration to my.
You said that your grandfather inspired you and taught you grit and integrity. How do you balance these old school values with an industry that celebrates everything shiny?
It's a tough one. And where I struggle the most is where I see a lack of transparency. because my granddad was really a black and white guy. He was, there's right and there's wrong, and you always want to be in the right, and it was really stern, and I grew up with him. So I guess that's why I became a lawyer, and that's why I became sometimes a little bit idealistic, I'd say. How do I square it with ad tech? Well, first of all, I remind myself that even when there's some bad practice, no one's killing anybody. There's no, nothing is, these are people trying to do good. So I calm myself. But then the rest is just like, I try to be a positive influence. I try to demonstrate that you can have an impact in a different way. And it's exciting. Just being different is not always a bad thing. Some people a lot of people look at us as like, what are these idiots trying to do? Why are they making their lives complicated? I've got offered by huge companies, I'm talking big tech, of working with them. If we gave our data, and I said no to it. And, people talk to me like, you're an idiot. Like you could have tens of millions of more in your bank account right now. I was like, well, it is what it is. We just charting our own path, and, we enjoy it. Even though the industry has some gray areas, it's still very, very fun to work with. Occasionally infuriating.
So let's crash you on the desert island. You've already said you want to bring Putin, Trump, and Xi, basically turning your island into the world's most toxic Survivor episode. But seriously, who would you bring if survival was the goal? And you can't say Bear Grylls. Everyone already says it.
But it has to be someone like him. It wasn't mine, but I guess I'll bring someone like Margaret Atwood for conversations at night. Storytelling, like, when you're bored there, something like that. She loves stories. What else would I? What's the guy?
That's the Canadian novelist, right?
Yeah, because he can figure stuff out, right? Like, how can you navigate off wind away from the island towards the constellation of Capricorn, which is northwest from here, is likely to be closer to shore or something like that. I mean, I just picked like really smart people, which means that I'll have to do all the physical work of actually building the boat and just rowing to safety.
Now you get to call someone out. If you had to pick one ad tech exec that you like, but you would not want to be stranded with, who is it and why?
One ad tech
executive that you like, but you would not want to be stranded on an island with.
I guess it has to be Jeff. 2 POs. Jeff
Green or Jeff Bezos?
Jeff Green. Fuck Jeff Bezos. No, Jeff Green. He's not an ad tech exec. He's a broligarch. He's a moon explorer.
He's building these. He just funded this car company that they're like modular cars and trucks. You can build it modularly. It's called Slate. That's the name of it.
I'll check it out.
You have coconuts,
are they
firewood.
Ship it to us for free if I have Amazon Prime?
I'm sorry?
Are they going to ship it to me for free if I have Amazon Prime?
If he's on the island, maybe.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
You have coconuts, firewood, and one working DSP. Which one will become the currency of choice on the island?
The coconut. You need to drink. You need to hydrate.
And they make bras.
They make the prize.
They make bras?
Oh, yeah, they make bras. Yeah.
What would you learn about yourself during this time?
What have I learned about myself?
Yeah, when you're stuck with no Wi-Fi and just coconut bras.
I think I learned that I enjoy the quiet, I enjoy nature, and I finally have the time to fully exploit my creativity on kind of artistic pursuits, writing, painting, things like that. Yeah, I would miss people, but right now I have people and no time. That's the extreme where I have a lot of time and no people. I guess if I'm stuck for a month, I'll probably love it.
So what's your guilty pleasure when you're not in CEO mode? Reality TV, bad karaoke, Legos?
I don't really have a lot of time. I eat like a pig, though. I just love food, good food. But my fiance always tells me, slow down. You eat too much, too fast.
What city are you in?
What city? I'm currently in Barcelona. But
so there's good food there.
There's good food, yeah. But
so how do you deal with these? So you being so always in CEO mode, how do you deal with the siestas?
There's no siesta in Barcelona.
No?
No. Everything's open most of the time. Yeah, okay, some shops closed, but yeah.
It's really changed. It's changed that much in the last 20 years? It used to, like 20 years ago, there were shop closings and stuff.
Sorry?
I mean, when I was there 20 years ago, I remember the shops closing and everyone siesta.
Yeah, Yeah, some do. Less and less, though. I think people are adopting that kind of 24/7 mentality, certainly in central Barcelona. Yeah, banks.
What's a moment outside of work that shaped how you lead today?
Something that happened outside of work that shaped the way I live today.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, I guess. 12 years in the UK shaped my decision to go back to a sunnier place with a more Mediterranean lifestyle. I'm from the south.
It usually takes me about 6 days in the UK to want to get out of the rain.
I enjoy my time. It's a great country, but I've missed the daylight for about 6 months a year, and a lot of stuff that goes with the good weather, the lifestyle that you can have when you can spend time outdoors, you can do sports, etc. So I think that was behind the choice of moving back down south and picking Barcelona. And man, if I had more time, I'd be enjoying it even more, but I'm not regretting it. It's a good place.
So if you weren't in capitalism's weirdest corner, which is ad tech, what would you be doing? And I want something wild, like shark wrestling.
If I weren't working here,
yeah, in ad tech,
what would I be doing?
And you can't say teacher either. I mean, everyone says teacher.
No. I mean, I'll be back in the jungle, I guess. I'll be.
And your fiance be okay with that?
No, she hates spiders. Yeah, no, that's a good one. I guess I was rewinding in time where my fiance wasn't part of the equation. I think right now I'll probably have to do something else. But if I were in an ad tech, I'll probably still be in entrepreneurship. I just enjoy too much. I like problem solving. I like managing people. I like being in a team. I think I prefer smaller companies to bigger companies because of that corporate death that you talked about. So I think I'll probably be, I don't know, working for a renewable energy company or founding my own crazy scientific project turned into a business. Being seaweed on desert sea bottom to capture CO2.
So I'm going to give you a time machine. It can only do two things. It can only go back to when you were at Occupy London, or fast forward 20 years to see how your company actually won. Which would you do and why?
Can I get to live 20 years more if I fast forward?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that was an option. I think it was just you get to see one or the other.
So I'm still the same age.
Correct.
I fast
No,
forward.
you can go back to Occupy London to do it all over again.
Nah, I fast forward.
Fast forward to see if you won.
Yeah.
Have kids and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should probably, I think if you could see if your kids were ugly before you get married, I think it would stop a lot of people from getting married.
You can have kids without getting married.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's very possible. So if your grandfather could see you now, privacy lawyer turned ad tech, what would he think about you?
I think you learned a lot, but you haven't learned the most important thing. Work less, spend more time with your family.
And last of all, when people stop finally talking about deal IDs, AI, attention metrics, what do you want to be remembered as?
A smart guy with a bold vision and 2 bowls the size of coconuts.
And now the hard part is where we force everyone to dance.
All right.
And that's all for this episode of the ADOTAT Show, where chaos meets candor and somehow we make it make sense. Huge thanks to our guest, Mattia Fosci, for reminding us that courage and common sense are still legal in ad tech, even if they're in short supply. He's out there proving that you can build something honest without needing 47 dashboards, 19 middlemen, and a secret meeting in Cannes. And of course, massive thanks to our sponsors, Incremental, helping brands measure what actually moves the needle instead of what just looks good in a quarterly report, and Troutman Armin LLP, the lawyers who somehow manage to keep innovation from catching fire while still letting the rebels run wild. I'm Pesach Lattin, and this has been the ADOTAT Show, where we call out the absurd, celebrate the brave, and occasionally raise a martini to the few who still give a damn. Stay bold, stay curious, and know more than you did yesterday.